Well, it's not every day you get the opportunity for the Brains Trust from Gallagher to spend some time with you and give you some great tips on how to make your electric fence not only perform but sing. Gentlemen, how are you today?
Good, Tim. How are you?
Tim,
Fantastic.
G'day, mate.
Guys, I am so much looking forward to hearing your top tips, and you guys have some great tips for people that will not only increase the performance of their electric fences, but stop the call-outs that you guys have to go and help people with. So it's a win-win for everyone, isn't it?
My word, absolutely.
Let's get into the top tips for electric fences with the Brains Trust. Now, Jack, tip number one, we're going to be talking lead out, and you're recommending that people pay attention to the lead out wire when they're coming out of their shed off the Energizer.
Absolutely. Well, it's step one when you're coming out off the fence. We suggest using a high conductive wire. So, for example, ours comes in red and black. It's 4 times more conductive than your standard wire.
And why is that, mate?
So it's aluminium coated. There's 2 ways that you can get electricity, make materials more conductive. You can either have more material or a different type of material, and so that's where the aluminium comes in.
And a lot of people think of the analogy of electrons flowing through wire like water through a pipe, but electrons actually flow around the outside of wire, which is why rusty wire is so bad and aluminium coated wire is so good.
Absolutely. So being a nice insulated cable like this, it also improves the longevity of the fence.
So tip number one, replace 3 or 4 high tensile wires with 1 high capacity aluminium coated wire, and you'll improve the performance of your fence.
Exactly.
Daniel, how you going, mate?
Good, Tim, how are you?
Mate, you've got a dodgy knot there that you want to explain to us about.
Yeah, so with this knot here, as you can see, there's not much contact point. So not much contact point here will lower the performance of your fence. Also with this one here, in the wind, jiggle around, rub, rust, that'll also bring your performance down on your fence as well. Also bugs, spiders, water will get in here, and that also will lower your performance.
So obviously fences have a lot of joins in them. We should avoid joins like that. What sort of joins should we be looking for in an electric fence to make sure that we get performance out of it?
So in an ideal world, I'd go here a spiral fast or a more appropriate knot for this fence.
Okay, so avoid loose double loop knots. They're a thing of the past and they lower the performance of your electric fence.
Correct. So another tip for joins is when we're bringing out our lead out cable, to always use a clamp. Avoid wrapping it around because then we'll have the same issue as what we did before with that knot. Be a loose connection, it'll vibrate, it'll rust, and that will decrease the performance of your fence.
Justin, how are you?
G'day, Tim. How are you, mate?
Not too bad. What are you doing behind the shed here?
So we're out here having a look at an earthing system.
Okay, earth's important with an electric fence, isn't it?
Earthing is the most important part of an electric fence. If you don't have a good earthing system, you can't get the voltage onto the fence. So it is 100% crucial.
So what have we got here, mate? What setup do we need for an Energizer?
So as an absolute minimum, you need 3 earth stakes. Those earth stakes can either be galvanised steel or they can be stainless steel. Stay away from copper rods. So as an absolute minimum, you need up to 3 earth stakes. But when we start getting into the bigger Energizers, you need 3 earth stakes for every 15 joules. The issue there is at 3 metres apart, you're going to take up a lot of room. So we can actually circumvent that by using super earth kits.
Yep.
So these come in a post pack, and inside that post pack is a stainless steel rod with also bentonite and salt. So you can install those and they are equivalent to 3 steel posts.
And that bentonite and salt increases the conductivity to make that happen, doesn't it?
That's exactly right. So the rock salt draws the moisture in from around the soil and the bentonite holds the moisture there.
So whether we've chosen our 3 stakes per 15 or our super earth kit, but wait, there's more. You've got something else happening here. You've actually connected a plain piece of wire to your non-energised fence. Can you tell me why you've done that?
Mate, that's simply to turn this fence here into what's called a earth return system. So essentially what we're doing here is we're joining our last earth peg back onto the fence so that all of a sudden this whole fence here is also helping earth our system, which is crucial at this time of year when things are dry to really bolster our earthing system.
Yeah, because we're in the middle of summer, so the ground's dried out and we're relying on the water in the ground to transfer our electricity and complete the circuit, aren't we?
That's right. So essentially an earthing system is a giant antenna. So the bigger we can make that antenna, the better our fence will perform. There's a little analogy we have. For every little extra bit of voltage on this earth peg, you can be losing up to 3 volts on your fence. So it's very important in the summertime to get your voltage down on your earth so you get more voltage on your fence.
And this simple little wire is a way of doing that.
That's right.
Great tips on earthing. Now, Justin, we've got another tip with standoffs. It's important to get standoffs that are 150 mil away from the fence.
Yeah, as a minimum. Tim, the Australian standard says any fence that has barbed wire in it, if you have an electric wire on that, it has to be a minimum of 150 mil off the vertical plane.
So it's no good to have barbed wire, then an electric wire, then barbed wire, then an electric
No,
wire.
not at all. There's a lot of safety issues there, so that's the reason why our very shortest offset is 160 mil.
Okay, so when you're buying offsets, make sure you get one that's at least 150 mil long.
Exactly, yep.
Now guys, we've got a beautiful boundary fence here as well. Apparently there's some rules about boundary fencing as well we've got to be careful of.
Yeah, there certainly is. So when you're sharing with your neighbour, it's always good to note that one of you should be powering the fence, opposed to two. Definitely don't have two energizers running on the same fence line.
So you can't share with your neighbour, like if they've got standoffs on that side and they run that off their energizer and you've got standoffs on this side and you're running that off your energizer, you're telling me you're breaking the law.
Yeah, no, you're required to run it, have one property to run that one fence line.
And what's the reason for that, Jake?
Well, it comes down to safety, especially if you have two energizers running on the same fence line. You're going to have that voltage coming from both energizers.
Right.
And that can be quite dangerous, especially in the way that the pulse is sent down the line.
So if
You'll
they
have-
sync up, you can get like a super shock.
Essentially, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That'd be shocking.
No good.
There is also a slight issue with two wires running parallel for a long amount of time.
Right.
You could turn your energizer off, but that other fence could be bleeding magnetic induction into your fence and actually putting small amount of voltage into your fence.
Right, so I'd be somewhere else on the farm, expect my fence to be turned off and get a zap.
You get a little tickle. Yeah.
Okay, well that'd make me remember that rule, wouldn't it?
My word.
Now signage, there's a little bit of debate around signage. Different states have different rules, but what's the general idea with signage if you've got a boundary fence?
Yeah, I think, well, it's always important to check the regulations within your state or territory. We say here in Victoria, if there's a reasonable expectation that the public are going to come in contact with your fence, it's leave signage roughly every 10 metres.
Right, okay, but that's only if we're expecting the general public to come and go, what's this?
Correct, absolutely.
Yeah. So around a bus stop or a walking track or somewhere like that, you'd require signage.
Now, we've got to protect our electric fences. We try not to run the top wire as a hot wire. We try and run it as an earth for lightning purposes. But to protect your energizer even further, you guys are recommending that you also run a lightning diverter as well.
What a lightning diverter does is that actually transfers that power into the ground so it doesn't get back into your energizer at the source.
Mounting the energizer.
Yep.
A lot of people will just stick it on a bench, won't they?
Yeah, I've seen plenty sitting on benches and it's not ideal. So what this fella's done here is he's actually mounted it on a bit of chipboard out off the wall, which is really good because you can actually get a bit of air circulation through it. Also very neat and tidy. So yeah, he's done a really good job here.
Because these things, they're pretty smart, aren't they? They'll shut down if they get too hot.
Yeah, if they get too hot. So we recommend you don't put them on a north-facing wall because you'll get that extra radiant heat throughout the day. So try and put them on the southern, east or western, and then out off the wall to keep them cool.
And people assume that they're all going to be weatherproof and everything, and they are to an extent, but having them inside properly mounted like this makes a big difference, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
that's exactly right. They've got a pretty good weather rating because these the newer ones, the MBSs, are designed to be outside and used in a mains battery or solar for solar use, so
Yep.
they are designed to be fairly weatherproof. But yeah, you still want to look after them. At the end of the day, they're a reasonable investment. So to get bang for your buck, look after them the best you can.
So there you go, guys. Bonus tip, mount them on a wall, away from the wall, off a north-facing side, and make your cables all tidy and out of the way like this fella has. Well, thanks very much, guys. I really appreciate your time here today. It's going to lower people's maintenance issues, it's going to increase the performance of their fence, and it's going to lower your workload too. So everyone's a winner. Don't forget, guys, if you like this kind of content, hit the little subscribe button, give it a thumbs up. There's plenty more on timthomson.ag, and we'll do something similar next week. Thank you very much, guys.
Thanks, Tim. Cheers, Tim.
Good on you.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.